Happy World Environment Day, and I hope you are celebrating today in a appropriate manner. You all have gathered today to uh, do some discussions, learn a little more about how to care for our environment. In between, I'll ask you some questions. You can raise your hands and answer whatever questions I ask you. So we are here to talk about composting. Uh, Normally, we throw all our food waste, the peels that comes out of our kitchen, all the rotten food that gets rotten in our fridges. Sometimes the vegetables we buy, overripe vegetables, get rotten. That also we throw in the garbage. Uh, but food waste actually is not garbage. Although 70% of our food waste in the homes comes from the kitchen, uh, we just mix it with all the other waste from our homes, and all we trash it all in on the roads of our cities. Not only are we wasting the resource, we are also dirtying our environment. We are creating a mess in our environment. Uh, Actually, seeing the mess in Calcutta is what started me off on this journey of zero waste and composting my own kitchen waste. So, the best way to we are here today to celebrate World Environment Day, and the only way we can celebrate the World Environment Day is by taking care of the environment. And one of the best ways I have found to take care of my environment is by diverting all my own waste, you know, especially the kitchen waste, into my garden. So whatever peels and whatever garden uh, waste that comes out of my home is all recycled into making a compost. So the process of making a compost is really very simple. All of you can note down your questions if you have any questions for me, and we can take the question answers at the end. Is that okay, Ankita?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Or otherwise, they can drop it in the chat box as well.
Yeah, and then you can put the questions to me
Yeah,
at the
end
end.
of the session, I
Yeah, that's also fine.
can.
That's also fine. Whichever suits each
Okay.
one, you can do that. What is compost? Compost is a pile of organic waste that over time breaks down or decomposes into a nutrient rich soil. In everything that lives, in the forest, no one goes to compost. But forests are very rich, have very rich soil, and we see they grow beautiful trees and flowers and fruits in forests. Why does that happen? Because all the waste that comes out of those that forest is decomposes on the floor of the forest, and the rich nutrients of that uh, decomposition goes back into the soil, and it's a cycle. No one takes out the waste, no one puts in any waste. It just recycles there. What does organic mean? Organic, we are all the time talking about organic, inorganic. What does organic mean? Organic means something that has once lived, something that has had life. So trees we know have life, animals have life. So anything that comes from a living being is organic. All the poop that comes from the gobar we talk about. Gobar is a very rich nutrient. We compost gobar and it becomes a beautiful fertilizer for our plants and crops. Compost is made up of greens and browns. What are the greens and the browns? In compost, we have two elements. One is carbon, one is nitrogen. And the third element that we use for our aerobic composting is the oxygen, which comes from our environment. So the nitrogen comes from the greens. I will show you the next slide. Nitrogen comes from the greens. And what are the greens? Fruits and vegetable peels, coffee grounds. You go to these coffee shops and you drink the coffee, but there's some leftover of the coffee grounds, the coffee beans. So those are called coffee grounds. And the tea leaves, we are all drinking tea all the time. The tea leaves and the cooked food sometimes it gets goes waste. So all these are greens. What other greens are there? Greens are also fresh leaves, uh, fresh flowers. They are all greens. And what are the browns? Which contain carbon, which are dried leaves, cocoa peat, brown paper, newspaper, eggshells. These are all the browns that we need. So a good mixture of the greens and the browns along with the right amount of oxygen is what decomposes. This creates an environment, a very natural environment for all living things to decompose and become a rich soil. I mean, before I go into anything more about composting, I would like to for you to understand why we should compost. I mean, why not just do it the way we've been doing it for uh, decades and perhaps centuries? Why do we need to compost? The reason being, as I just told you, that when we mix all our waste at home, our organic waste with the inorganic waste like metal, plastic, glass, we are throwing away resources. And we are not only throwing away resources, we are creating a greenhouse gases. How are we doing that? And this mixed waste goes into our landfills. Like, many of you may or may not know what landfills are. Landfills are places where all our collected garbage is thrown together. And your if you're throwing one bucket of garbage every day out on the street, you have 1.2 billion people in Calcutta. So 1.2 billion buckets of waste is going to the landfill. So what is it? What happens there? The all the food scrap and all the organic matter is thrown along with the inorganic matter like plastic, like glass, like metals. So once they are all together, because of lack of oxygen when the pile becomes bigger, the oxygen doesn't reach the bottom. So when the oxygen does not reach the bottom, then what happens is methane gas is created. Without the introduction of oxygen, methane gas is created. And that is one of the worst gases for our, to pollute our environment. When you go around Hapa, you will find a very toxic smell. You get I mean, a very terrible stink we feel when we go, beside Hapa. What does that stink come from? Where does that stink come from? That comes from the methane gas that emanates from our landfill, and that is very, very inflammable. That is why you have a lot of fires coming out of our landfills, and you know, and which is so dangerous. So, if we don't want to pollute our environment, the best thing to do is to not throw our garbage on the roads, but convert it into good fertilizer, convert it into compost at home. When the process is so simple and we can contribute so well to create a good environment, why not do so? Yeah. So, and of course, when we get from we can recycle our waste and create a beautiful, reusable resource. I think we should all try for that. Now, now the question is how to compost. You all must be wondering, composting is a very tedious exercise, but you just need to give 5 minutes of your time daily. You just need 5 minutes every day to compost, and the work gets done. Well, the first process of managing your waste is to Segregate. Segregate your waste at source. I mean, the best way to segregate your waste is at source before any of the waste gets contaminated. So today the government has also distributed, in Calcutta we've got green buckets and blue buckets. The green bucket is for the organic waste and the blue bucket is for the inorganic waste. So if we segregate the waste from organic into inorganic, our first step is well taken care of. The next is what to do with this organic waste. Now, in uh, urban situations, in our flats and homes, we don't have, you know, ground space. We don't have ground space or soil where we can compost our kitchen waste. In villages, it is easily done. In very easily done in soil. You make a pit and you keep putting your home waste, kitchen waste, all the garden waste into it, and it automatically composts. Now, in the cities, in the flats, small flats that we have, or in our terraces, we can easily do it by buying a bucket, or if you have a bucket with a lid. I will show you a bucket here. Can you see this bucket? This is a 12-liter bucket with a lid, and this has a. If you can see, there are holes in the lid, and there are holes around the bucket. No holes at the bottom. No holes at the bottom. This is a bucket. And this bucket is sufficient. Now we must choose a bucket, size of the bucket, which is suitable to your waste you generate. We can't have 100 buckets lying in our house composting. So we suggest that you buy 3 buckets and which gets recycled. After the third bucket gets uh, full, then the first bucket should get empty. So it should be that is the way it should be done. Uh, so you should ideally get a size of the bucket which will fill your food waste or organic waste in 20 days. In 20 days, one bucket will get filled, and once that gets filled, you put it aside and you start collecting the second bucket. When that gets filled, you put it aside and start filling the third bucket. So once the third bucket gets filled, your first bucket should be ready for harvesting. When we take the compost out for use, that is called harvesting. So it's a very simple method. You take a bucket, make your holes. You can buy ready composters if you are lazy to make your own system. But you can easily get a bucket in the market. Just drill some holes around 4 inches apart on both sides and drill some holes at the top so that you can get oxygen. The input of oxygen is very necessary to stop methane gas formation. So
My voice is not audible properly.
you can't hear me properly?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Mom, it's cracking in between. Words are not clear.
That's the problem with this internet systems. Sometimes the connections are so poor. Now, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you, but when you start speaking, the words are not audible properly. Somewhere it cracks, so we are not able to get.
Okay, tell me, I will repeat. Tell me what is from where you want me to.
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
right.
this
Okay,
description you were giving,
okay,
please.
okay. See, you need to you need to get 3 buckets. Okay. Now, a cycle of composting takes about 60 days, 45 to 60 days. Let us take on an average 60 days cycle. So we need to fill a bucket in 20 days. If we are taking 3 buckets, so 20 days, 20 days, 20 days means 60 days. So the first bucket should fill in 20 days time. So we should be, depending on first we should take an audit of our food or kitchen organic waste at home. How much organic waste are we creating every day? Some families create more, some families create less. Depending on what you're creating, you get the bucket. A typical a vegetarian family of 4 will need a 30-liter bucket, 3 30-liter buckets, okay, to fill in 20 days. One will fill in 20 days. So you take a bucket, make holes around it, make holes on the top of it. It should be a bucket with a lid, as I showed you. And now, can you all hear me? Am I audible now?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am, you are.
yes,
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 ma'am.
ma'am.
All right, okay. So you make holes around 4 inches apart ideally, and on top also you make. You don't need to make very big holes. You need to make, I mean, a medium sized, maybe half a centimeter holes around it and on top. And the first thing you do is put a layer of carbon. I have already shared with you what carbon is. You can put dried leaves, you can put paper, you can put cardboard, or cocoa peat. Any of these things, you make a nice loose layer of that. The bottom you put your browns very loosely, and after that you can start putting in your kitchen waste.
Are you sharing screen?
I'm sharing screen. Yes.
I'm unable to see that.
How come others can see it?
Yes, it is visible, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Check out your system if you're having a problem. Okay. Uh, After you put a layer of carbon at the bottom, you start putting in your food waste. Put a layer of food waste, and always remember to cover food waste with browns again. You know, uh, once you have your food waste, I mean, normally I'm sure your parents or mothers must be cooking early in the morning. So at any time of the day, you fix the time. You take that and put it in the bucket and cover it with any carbon content that you can see around. Every next day again, you do the same thing. You put your nitrogen, that means your food waste, and then cover it with carbon. Every day after putting it, after 3 4 days, just stir the whole thing together so that more oxygen can go in. Without oxygen, again, your bucket will start to smell. Once your bucket is full, make sure the top layer is covered with carbon. Put the lid. You should keep your composting bucket not directly in the sun or the rain. Put it under some shade so that direct rain and sunshine does not fall. Maybe if you see that your bin is very dry and things are not changing, if they are the same way as they were 4 days ago, put in some little bit of water so that the composting starts. And if ever you find that you open a bucket and there's a horrible smell coming out, that means your compost bin is very very soggy and very very wet. And as soon as you start putting in more carbon, put paper, put sawdust, put cocoa peat, you just mix it together and you see the smell going away. Very very simple way to manage your waste. In our kind of climate, tropical climate, the composting will happen faster. But if you go to a cold climate, the composting will happen slowly because it needs a certain amount of heat to happen. Now, finished compost, we can't see it. Wait. Finished compost, can you see the compost here? I have some ready compost here. Can you see?
yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. We can see, ma'am.
This is the compost from my
Yes, ma'am.
garden, and because we are typically a vegetarian family, we create a lot of food waste, fruit waste. But we eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, so a lot of waste comes out of our house. I do it on my terrace in an open pit. I have an open pit made on my terrace, and I do it like that. So a lot of sunshine and of course my small bins are there. And now a lot of people ask me, what do you do with all the compost that you make? Many of you must be having small terraces in your own homes. You must be having small balconies. Some of you may not have balconies, or you must be having windowsills. So start growing your own food. We all know today, the youngsters know even better than we do, that the food that we buy from outside, the fruits and veggies are all full of pesticides and so much, so very harmful to us, right? So if we start growing in small ways also, something, we all know something is better than nothing. So start growing your greens, start growing palak, start growing, you have these chilai saag or mote saag. There are so many greens that you can easily grow, and you can grow your herbs like dhania, pudina, make your own chutney, make your own garnishing with pudina and dhania on your food, and you will see the difference. You can use it in your compost, or you can gift it. It makes a lovely gift for people who are gardening. Uh, so if you have a garden, if you have plants, start. If you don't have, start growing. If you already have, use the beautiful fertilizer that we made into little day of plants every 10 days. So you know that compost is also called black gold, and if 70% of your food waste comes from your kitchen, then if you have started composting or if you will start to compost, you know that 70% of your waste you have diverted from the landfill. So the so much of methane gas you have stopped from uh, getting created. So that's a beautiful way to give homage to your planet, to our universe, and when we talk about environment, the best way that uh, we can create a cleaner environment for ourselves and for all of you. So, have you all understood the process of composting? It's a very, very simple process, and I've been doing it for the last 6 years non-stop. And believe me, it really makes me feel very proud that I have been able to divert my waste from our landfill. Only 10% of our. All right. Now, as I was saying, it's a very, very simple process. It takes but 5 minutes of your time every day. Uh, I think I'll
Yes,
open it.
ma'am.
We have a lot of time, so we can open it for question answers. And please ask a lot of questions. And I hope you will celebrate World Environment Day after today and every day, because every day we are making, breathing from this environment and making, consuming food and other things that our environment, our world gives us. And I think it's every day that we should give it back something of value. So let's open, Ankita, let's open it, the question answer sessions. And I hope all of you will ask as many questions as you want. I mean, I will try and answer all your questions. Uh,
Ma'am,
don't
I have
hesitate. Yeah,
I
please.
have already put one question in the chat box. I just wanted
Okay.
to know whether citrus fruit trees
Your
can be.
your voice is not very clear.
I'm saying that whether fruit peels can be used in composting.
What fruit peels?
Citrus citrus fruit.
Citrus.
Just one second. I'm not able to hear properly.
Ma'am, your voice is not audible. Can you repeat your question again?
I have written it in the chat box also. Can you please check?
Yeah, yeah, sure. I'm
Can
checking.
you hear me now? I'm asking whether we can use citrus fruit peels in the composting.
Okay. Ma'am, Lata ma'am, she's asking that citrus fruits.
Yes,
Yeah.
all fruit peels in the aerobic composting that we're talking about, except for meat
and meat products, we can use all kinds of fruit peels. Rotten food, dairy products, we can put in everything. Is that clear? Hello?
Layering. Can you explain about
Hello?
Disha Banerjee? I would request you, ma'am, to please get into a place where you get good internet connection. Your audio is breaking.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah, good morning.
Ma'am, I am Shatanuka Kundu from Vidyasagar Metropolitan College.
Okay.
Ma'am, as you have mentioned that we can use paper as the brown waste. So
Yeah.
can we put in the paper waste like any wrapper that is made of paper in the compost?
See, ideally you can put in paper, although I have written also what browns consist of. Paper is also part of it. But, I always suggest that we have enough of dry leaves around us, even if we don't have it in our homes. On the roads, we see from the trees, a lot of dried leaves always falling. They are always falling throughout the year, I've seen. So if we can collect those and use as browns is better than using a paper. I would suggest that use paper for recycling paper rather than putting it in the compost. But you can put in paper as well, yes, all kinds of paper. But the again problem is if you put newspaper, the color of the print contaminates, they are toxic colors. So that contaminates the soil.
Thank you, ma'am. I have another question. Can I ask, ma'am?
Yes, absolutely. Don't hesitate.
Ma'am, the
I want
compost
all of you to go back so strong on this topic that you will start composting from tomorrow.
Ma'am, the compost that we have made, ma'am,
Yeah.
we have to put it in the roots of the plants only or in the entire soil, ma'am?
See, when you start to grow a new plant, you mix half soil, half fertilizer. Okay, and grow your new seedling into that. But if you're putting fertilizer on already sown plant, then you put it on the top, and when you're watering it, all the nutrients will go down on it. You don't need to put it inside them. Then you'll be cutting the roots.
Thank you, ma'am.
Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, all right.
Ma'am, I'm Sampurna Ghosh of DPS Newton. My question is that can the compost can be completely replace the fertilizer, the artificial fertilizer?
Absolutely. You don't need to ever buy fertilizer.
Okay. Thus it can provide a natural mineral, the nitrogen, the phosphorus, the phosphate.
You see, yes, you have eggshells, no? You'll be putting in eggshells as well. So you have banana peels, which gives you potassium, phosphorus, other things. So all the mixture of fruits and all will give you all the minerals and anything that a plant needs.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning. I'm Shomali Das from Birla High School, Mukundapur. And now, can we use compost bin for something else rather than using it as a fertilizer?
Now, what do you plan to use compost as? It's not fertilizer. What are you thinking of? Have you got any other idea? Tell me, please share.
Ma'am, till now, I haven't got any idea.
Okay, no, normally it is used as a fertilizer only, nothing else.
Okay, ma'am, thank you.
Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am, I have a few questions.
Please ask.
Yeah. Actually, I've been to composting from many years, rather more than 26 years.
Okay.
I have made pits in my garden where I've been throwing or keeping all my kitchen waste these long years. But what I have not been doing, I have not been utilizing that soil directly or lifting it up. It has all over the years gone directly into my garden itself. Okay. Now I have, because I couldn't retrieve, because if it rains, the pits get totally covered with water. So I cannot in any way utilize that soil, or I cannot see the earthworms or the insects functioning or doing their part over there. So now I have purchased a available kit from the market. That's a bin along with all the systems given over there. And they have asked to put a little bit of jaggery also into that, which I've already done. And now I am waiting for almost 22 days or more. But
How
I
many
cannot,
days?
22.
Okay.
And now I want to see the changes. I can only see the white fungus on all the matter that is inside my compost bin. And I have added all my wet materials only. That's all the vegetable peels, mango, seeds, etc.
See, if you only put your wet waste inside that, then you are creating an environment to create methane.
Okay.
If you don't
No,
mix
actually, they have also provided a dry compost powder along with
dry powder.
Yeah,
See,
yeah,
I will
that I
tell
have
you.
been putting.
I will tell you. Now that is called bokashi composting. There are various methods of composting.
Yes.
I have tried that also. You must have bought trust bin.
Yes, ma'am.
Buckets,
Absolutely.
right? Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I have also got trust bin buckets in my house.
Yes.
I worked on them in the first time, and I have not ever done it again, because that is creating an anaerobic system.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay? That means anaerobic means without oxygen.
Yeah, and they have asked to strictly keep inside the room where there is no light, where there is no exposure to any kind of sunlight or like that. And now when it's after 22 days, whenever I'm opening the smaller cap, yes, it is releasing a different kind of smell, of course.
It's very, very offensive smell, right?
Yes, of course. I find it like that only.
Now, in bokashi composting, I mean, when I tried it, after so many days, they will ask you to put it in a basket, open basket.
Okay.
And as soon as you pour it into the basket, your house will start to stink.
Yeah.
Okay. So it is very offensive. It's not possible to do it in the house. I didn't like the system, and I knew.
And see, they have given a tap along with that from where
yes,
liquid.
the leachate will come out.
Yes, absolutely. When I tried it first time, I found it to be the liquid. So I couldn't differentiate what kind of a fertilizer it is and how it will help my plants to grow.
Yeah. Now that leachate, you have to dilute it to be able to use it in the plants, right? Please, if you want to continue to compost in buckets, please switch over to the method I have suggested. Use the same buckets, make holes in them, and stop bokashi. Start all the things.
So that bucket only I'm going to drill holes along and utilize.
Yeah, absolutely. It has a proper lid and everything. So use that.
Yes.
Buy another one. Just make holes around it. You don't need to use a tap for that. You can maybe you don't need, because you will never have so much of liquid coming out of that bucket.
Okay, ma'am.
And just follow this method. And if you have any problem, Ankita, you can share my phone number.
Yes, ma'am, that would be very, very kind of you, because I'm into this for very long. But now I have seen everybody doing this, so I realized that this has at least much more importance than I felt when I started doing this. I saw my mother also since my childhood doing little bit of this. So I'm just into this and saving water and all that. It has become such an important part that whenever I see anybody else wasting water, I run behind them, and I have become somebody, means as if I'm phobiac, I'm mad. I feel sometimes that I'm in that way. But still, if I can add a bit to the benefit of environment, that will be
absolutely. We have to be eco warriors, and what we are doing, we must also actively tell people around
yes,
us.
ma'am. And I have my son and my daughter. I am just trying to drill this into them so that they can also grow up in this way and continue with the process.
When you practice it, in my house, I have seen gradually everyone takes over.
Yes,
my
all
elder
become interested.
Yeah, my elder daughter is also making her own compost for so many years, and she is also gardening now very, very enthusiastically. And the children just follow,
Yes,
without
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
having to teach them.
Okay, ma'am. Kindly,
So,
if I
Ankita,
can.
please share my number. It's I request everyone to please only WhatsApp me on this number.
Yes, yes,
Although
certainly,
it's
ma'am.
my contact number, don't phone me. I mean,
No,
I'm
no, ma'am. I'll
linked
just,
with
if
a
I
lot of
have queries,
organizations.
I'll write it down over there.
Yeah, yeah. Just WhatsApp me, and I'm pretty good at answering back in without taking too much time.
No, ma'am. Thank you. Thank
So,
you.
if you have any doubt about composting or any other matter, please WhatsApp me. I'll try, and if I can, I'll try and help.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Many, many thanks for your valuable time.
Oh, not at all. My
Yeah,
pleasure.
yeah. Okay, ma'am.
That is my contribution to our world on this day.
Yes, ma'am. Let's do our
Please,
bit and let us give the next generation something better, which have already.
Absolutely.
please share your number in the chat, meeting chat.
Yes, yes.
Uh,
Ankita?
yes, ma'am. I'm writing it down there.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, tell me.
Ma'am, I am Aditya Srivastav, 6A Brain International School. Ma'am,
Okay.
I have few questions. Ma'am, can I ask?
Absolutely. Please go ahead.
Ma'am, first one is for how many days we have to put this composting waste to turn into fertilizer?
45 days to 60 days.
Okay, ma'am. And ma'am, next one is, ma'am, do we have to mix anything else in the container except kitchen garbages for decomposition of the waste?
Along
Anything
with the
else?
kitchen waste, you also have to put carbon content, that is dried leaves and twigs of cocoa peat, anything of the sawdust, any of these matters you have to put. Otherwise, your compost bin will start to smell.
Okay, ma'am. And ma'am, next one is, do we have to put the bucket in the sunlight? I mean,
No,
direct sunlight.
no, not in the sunlight. You have to put it in a shade. So direct rain and sunlight should not fall on it.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
This I have a question.
Yes, please go ahead.
Ma'am, you said about the 3 buckets. So do we have to replace, or it's like 1 bucket for 60 days?
No. One bucket will fill in 20 days. So
Okay, and then you have to change it.
change it, meaning you have to put that aside and then start filling the second bucket. Then once the second bucket is full, then you keep that aside, start filling the third bucket. After the third bucket is full, by that time your first bucket will be the compost in the first bucket should be ready. You empty that out and start filling that bucket again. So there's a cycle of 3 buckets.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning, ma'am.
Morning.
Ma'am, this is Suina Sur from Douglas School. Ma'am, I wanted to ask, is there any food which does not compost?
See, as I said, everything living will decompose. Okay, but the problem with some food, like especially the fish bones and the meat bones, are that they take a long time to compost. That is why in home composting, we prefer not to put those. All the kinds of peels and all will compost within 60 days, but bones will not compost. So,
Excuse me, ma'am.
Is does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Yes.
Excuse me, ma'am. Here.
Yes. Yeah. Tell me.
Ma'am, can you please share ma'am the PDF of this PPT in the meeting
Ankita
chat?
will be sharing.
After this entire session, we will share the PPTs with every participant of their respective rooms. Like what respective sessions they are attending, they will all get their PPTs.
Okay, ma'am. I also have a question, ma'am. How can we protect our compost pits? I mean, compost pits from the rats.
See, rats will Do you have a garden at home?
Yes, ma'am.
So you compost in the garden. You planning to compost in the garden.
Okay, ma'am.
You want to create a pit in the garden. What do you want to do? How do you want to compost? If you
Ma'am, no,
compost in buckets,
yes,
rats
ma'am.
will not come.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Got it, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ma'am, do we need to add water in the compost pit?
Uh, only if it is too dry. See, whenever food decomposes, fruits and fruit peels and food, when it decomposes, it lets out water. So, in normal circumstances, you don't need to put any water. But sometimes you put extra carbon or dry content, then there's no water left. There's no moisture left in that. Then, in that case, we will have to add water and only sprinkle a little water, not pour, mugfuls of water.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
So, ma'am, there are some questions in the chat box I can see.
Okay. Yeah, tell
Just
me.
reading them and you can answer them.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. The first one is Shomili Das. She is asking, can we use the compost bin for something else also than using fertilizer?
No, that I've already answered. You can't.
Okay.
It's a fertilizer we are creating.
Okay. Thank you. Next
You
one
can
is
also you can use it to gift. You can gift it to someone else if you can't use it yourself.
yeah. So next question is from Preeti Arora. She's asking, can you please suggest name of some plants which can be kept indoor and act as purifier, and how to take care of them?
Money plant is a very simple plant. Then there's sensibaria. It's called. That is another plant that is a very oxygen giving plant. Erica palm is another plant which you can keep indoor and it gives you oxygen. So these are a few plants, and the rest you can Google, and today you can find out everything.
Okay.
These are easy maintaining plants. You don't need to take much care of these plants.
Okay. So I'm moving on to the next question. Do red worms help in composting?
Yes, red worms. They are called. Red worms really make very good compost, but it is not easy to compost with red worms because they are very sensitive creatures. You have to take very good care. You can all kinds of food cannot be given to red worms. So if you want to start a wormy compost, red worms, the composting done by worms is called wormy composting. You have to you cannot give them any spicy food, you cannot give them any strong smelly food, you cannot give them any kind of citrus food, you cannot give them any sour food. So a lot of the food they are sensitive to and they will die if you give them. So you can have a regular aerobic composting, and alongside you can have vermicomposting where you can give them, the fruit peels and the vegetable peels only of non-citrus variety.
Okay. Okay. So, ma'am, I'm moving on to the next question. It is from Rotati Parma. She's asking that from composting, does plants get fungus attack?
Not from composting, plants will not get fungus attack.
Okay.
There are pests in the environment which attack the plant in various ways, but composting has nothing to do with that.
Okay. So next question is from Aditya Srivastav. He's asking that is it compulsory to use a bucket? Can we use a large container?
Anything. You don't have to use a bucket, but make sure that it has holes around it and it has a lid with holes also. That's all.
Okay. So next one is Disha Banerjee. She's asking, you said if we don't have a garden, we can find a empty patch and compost there. Ma'am, can you tell more about how to do it? Like, should we do it through compost pits in that patch?
If you don't have a garden, how will you find a patch? Then you'll have to do it in buckets. If you're staying in an apartment, you can use buckets. You can use earthen pots to compost.
So next question is from Dhairya. He's asking that why do we need to need more carbon than nitrogen for composting?
Because there is everything has to have a right mixture. If you are making lemon water, you need a certain amount of sugar and a certain amount of lime juice to make the drink right? Similarly, you need the right amount of carbon and the right amount of nitrogen to make the compost right. Without the right proportions, the chemical reactions will not happen.
Okay. So
Was it
Excuse
not
me,
only
ma'am. Can I ask?
You can ask, but your voice is cracking.
Miss, you said composting in earthen pots, so we don't need to make holes there.
Uh, no, you need to make holes in that also. Not enough oxygen will go.
Yeah, okay, miss.
okay, so I'm moving on to the next question in the chat box.
Yeah.
So it's from Dipan. He's asking that we check out that composting is being formed and what if some type of worm come in it.
See, if you go and dig up some soil anywhere, you will find there are lots of different creatures in the soil. There are microorganisms, there are worms. Similarly, in your compost bin also there will be different kinds of worms and microorganisms. Don't be afraid of them. They will only stay there. When they come out, they will die. So that's where they stay. And they won't harm you or the compost. They are there to make your soil richer.
Okay, so
And as soon as you see that, when you turn your compost bucket, at the bottom you'll see your food is not doesn't look like what it as how you had put it. It started to break down. You can see it yourself. It's turning brown, and it is you're getting that the smell that you get when the first time it rains and the water touches the soil or the ground, and that beautiful smell you get. That's the kind of smell your bucket will have once it's composted.
okay, so moving on to the next question. It's
Yeah.
from Manish. How
Mhm.
to fasten the decomposition rate as there is lot of waste and even large three containers are not sufficient in that case.
See, if three containers are not sufficient, then that means you have not chosen the right size bucket. You just add another bucket. That's it. Very simple. And speeding up the process, the more you stir, the more you let in more oxygen, and make sure the content of the carbon and the nitrogen is all right. Then it will happen fast. It slows down when the content is not moist enough. There's not enough water. Then it will slow down. It will slow down when there's not oxygen going in. So we just need to just stir up things, and it will work.
Okay. So now next is Shutanuka. She's asking that her hibiscus plant is not giving full-grown flowers. Composting can help in that.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Unless there's anything else is wrong, uh, The compost will help.
Okay. So, ma'am, next question is from Dipan again. He's asking that how can we check out that the compost is being formed, and what if some worms come in? Okay, he's repeating the same question.
Yeah.
So I'm moving to the next one. Okay. Anubhava Ghoshal has asked, does composting different kinds of things produce different elements into the atmosphere?
Sorry, please repeat.
Yeah. Does composting different kind of things produce different elements into the atmosphere?
I didn't quite understand that.
Yeah. I think Anubhava, can you unmute and ask your question?
Actually, I'm asking that if we compost different things, will they produce different? Will they produce something which are different from others?
What do you mean by composting different things?
Many things can be composted. Like many things can be composted, like banana peels and other things. So, do they produce different elements?
No, they don't produce. If you mix carbon and nitrogen together, it will only make compost. It won't give you anything else. It won't produce any other chemical.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Lata ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Lata ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Lata ma'am, I just want to ask you one thing. Like in canteens and all, where peels and the domestic kitchen waste is less and more of a cooked food is there. So, and even the garden leaves and the fallouts is less. So we'll be able to make a compost on a larger scale. Provide any guidance or consultancy on that?
Yeah, sure. You can use, besides garden leaves, you can use actual soil. If you find that there's too much of cooked food going in, that means there's always so much liquid there. So we don't want any compost pit to be too liquid, too watery, because as soon as there's more water, it will start to smell. So we have to dry it in one way or the other. You can put cocoa peat, you can put sawdust. Find a carpenter nearby. He must be throwing away all his sawdust. So use all that to make it dry.
Okay.
I mean, we just have to find the right permutations and combinations, to do the job, and it's easily done.
So, ma'am, will you please share your number with us so that in case we want to set up on a larger scale and we contact you?
Yeah, Ankita will do the same. Will share my number with you.
After the session, you will get the entire detail in your mail.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's really very enriching and motivating everyone to set up in their homes. Though we have one in our society where they are doing it at a larger scale, and at the backyard, at the back of the society, they have set up a compost waste.
Okay.
So I'm not doing it currently at home, but definitely I'm going to tell this to my students.
Yeah, but
thank you so much,
just
ma'am.
Start doing it at home, and you will see the difference in yourself. I mean, you will feel so good. At the end of the day, when you see your waste converting into something so beautiful, and that feeling of satisfaction is you can't take that away. It's really beautiful.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, what is the correct ratio of carbon and nitrogen in a compost pit?
3:1. 3 parts carbon and 1 part nitrogen. Carbon
Okay,
has
ma'am.
to
Thank
always
you.
be more than nitrogen.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see one more question from Sonia Sharma. She's asking that her lemon plant, small lemons fall from the plant automatically. They don't grow fully. Why?
Uh, in all probability, it is because your the soil is not rich enough. Soil needs fertilization. Start making your compost and put it in that. You will see the difference.
Okay. So anyone want to ask anything or I have missed from the chat, please feel free to ask.
I think we have 2 minutes, Ankita, now.
Ma'am, yes, we have left with 2 minutes
Okay,
only.
someone is asking homemade pesticide. Okay, crush some garlic and green chilies together. Add water in that and spray. That's a good insecticide for plants at home.
Okay.
Suggest some more, like with neem leaves or something, if you have some more suggestions to it.
Neem oil is good. Put neem oil in water and spray your leaves. And you get this white fungus you get. You just remove that with brush. Use a little bit of soapy water and remove that gradually with your small brush. That helps take away those white fungus kind, like insects.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, Sonia Sharma, who was asking about her lemon plants, she's asking what kind of compost she can use for the plant.
See the compost that you're going to make at home. Start making your compost and use it. I'm not a very professional gardener, so these specific answers I cannot give you. But generally, if your plant is well fertilized and your home fertilizer gives you a very good mixture of everything. Besides that, if your plant needs a particular certain thing, then I think you'll have to take a professional's guide. I'm not a professional in that area.
Okay, Sonia, you have raised your hand. Can you unmute yourself and ask what you want to ask?
No, ma'am, just I want to thank you. Okay, now. Thank you. The session was very good, I want to say. Okay, ma'am.
Oh, thank you so much. I hope it helped all of you.
Yeah, ma'am.
I hope all.
Ma'am, here, ma'am.
Try
I
to
also
apply
like
these
this
things.
session, ma'am. You were very patient in answering each student's query.
You can ask away for another hour. I'll be as patient, but the time is limited.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am.
That
is why, ma'am. That is why, ma'am. I enjoyed this workshop a lot.
Oh, thank you. We hope we can do more sessions later on like this.
Okay.
And my only prayer and request to all of you is please compost. Start composting at home. Don't just attend a workshop and forget about it. You will have problems. I had problems when I started. It's a trial and error method. The right combination comes to you as you practice. Practice makes perfect is the mantra you have to use. Just start doing it. If you have a problem, my number is there. You can ask me on WhatsApp and I will try and I'll be as patient there as I've been here.
Ma'am, here, ma'am, you are an inspiration for us.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
Okay, ma'am, there is Shutanuka. She also has raised her hand.
Okay.
So can you unmute yourself and okay, she is also thanking you for the
Yeah.
session, ma'am.
Okay.
The session
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
really
Thank you so
insightful, ma'am.
much. Thank you so much, all of you, for attending the session and patiently hearing me out. And I hope I have touched a chord somewhere in your hearts to start celebrating World Environment Day every day in your lives by composting your kitchen waste.
Sure. So I can see some of the questions on your number and the PPT you have shared. So I would request you all to be patient. After the session, you will get the PPT and Lata ma'am's number as well. You can reach out to her.
Ma'am, that means, ma'am, after this composting kitchen session gets over, ma'am, you will share Lata ma'am's number as well as PDF.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes, you will get in your
Okay.
mail.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome. We are few more minutes, 1 minute or 2 minutes left for the session to end, and then we will be directed to the main session.
Mhm.
Ma'am, someone has messaged an Gmail ID as well as number of Kavita Yadav.
I just want to ensure that I get the PPT and ma'am's contact number. So I just shared it.
Okay, I am noting it down.
Ma'am, can you please repeat the names of the substances which have carbons and nitrogen?
Ankita is going to share the PPT with you, the PDF file with you. So everything is get written there.
Ma'am, where will you get the PT?
Ankita?
Ma'am, in the WhatsApp or
You
somewhere
all
else?
will get the PPT via through your mails. The way you have received the details of the workshop, you will receive the same way the PPT and all the details.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. If you don't get it like that, you can WhatsApp me on my number and I will share it with you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, please share your number if it is convenient.
Okay. Those of you who want to note it down, please note it down. It's 98301 98301 30715. Have you got it?
Please repeat one more time.
98301 30715.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Got it.
And just again, I'm requesting, please don't call, just WhatsApp. No, it's wrong. 30715. Nine eight three zero one 30715. That's correct. Deepan, that's correct. No, 30715, not 3715. Yeah, this is correct. Disha Banerjee, you write written correctly. Yes, that's correct.
Almost everyone has wrote your number in the chat box, ma'am. Yeah, I am sure you are going to get lots of messages.
Yeah, I don't mind messages, but please don't call. I anyway get too many calls otherwise also. Thank you. Thank you, Vita.
We are left with 1 more minute.
Yeah, quick if anyone wants to ask a question.
Where do we
Miss, what
get?
problems can a beginner in composting face?
See, normally the problem that you face is the right mixture of carbon and nitrogen. Normally we put a lot of our kitchen waste and very little leaves or carbon content, and the you start getting all kinds of worms and smell, and you get impatient and throw it away. That is mainly the problem that happens. So make sure you have enough carbon content. Ask a sweeper on the road, to give them a gunny bag and they'll fill it with leaves for you. Happily do it. Anyway, they burn it in near places. So just collect and keep putting your leaves and putting your kitchen waste. And it's very simple. If it starts to smell and starts to get these worms, on the top of the lid, you will get a moisture content and you'll have lots of white worms around. Just put in lots of carbon, mix it, dry it out, and you'll see the worms have gone. You'll see the smell has gone. It's very simple to check it out and store it. Don't be afraid of these small creatures.
Thank you.